gonna try to keep this short because I don't think there's a lot to it. But someone brought this up and I was like, that is a really excellent point, like something good to bring up, something that I had thought a lot about, like a ton about. It was a great concern for me. And that is socializing homeschooled kids, because we've talked about how I think eventually we will move to homeschooling our children. Just when they're a little older, maybe not, we'll see, but I kind of feel in my heart that we're gonna be there eventually, just because there's a lot of things we want to do and we want more freedom and I'd like to have more control, blah, 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 blah. That's a whole other thing. But that does, you have to think about, there's different things with homeschooling. It's not just about like, how am I going to teach my kids? Like there's other things like, can they be involved in team sports? Will they have friends? Like, how are you going to socialize these kids? So I thought it'd be cool to talk about some like homeschool socializing resources that are out there. So we're lucky because we live in a big city, and in our area, homeschooling is very prevalent. A ton of people homeschool. Homeschooling is not considered weird here or different, or like it's tons of people homeschool. So because there's so much homeschooling, pretty much every business that has anything to do with kids offers homeschool curriculums as well. So I can travel 20 minutes this way, and there's a whole, like one of the colleges actually has homeschooling science for kids starting at like kindergarten level. And then there's a performing arts school, and they offer a whole homeschooling curriculum for kids to do art, acting, I think voice, like they go in once a week, like or twice a week, I think it is. The YMCA, they have homeschooling PE where the kids come in a couple of days a week, and it's not expensive. It's like 45 bucks for the whole month, and they get to come in like 3 days a week, and they have gym basically with other homeschool kids and like get to do things. There are tons of, if you're, want your kids to do sports, that shouldn't stop you at all, because like, your kid can join everything basically, like that any other kid could do. They just won't be doing it with the school, but they'll be doing it with a group. So there can be a lot of resources, and there's even more than I'm naming. There's so many. I know like there's a school of like rock or the rockologies, like the school of rock around here, like they have this whole like music lesson thing just for homeschool. I mean, there's just so much that, there's even like homeschool groups that do like proms and things like that. And it's not like with like, they only have 30 kids. We're talking like hundreds of kids, because it's a big community. So where I live, we're really fortunate because it doesn't cost a lot. None of these programs cost much at all. And your kid could be really active, really socializing, like doing awesome things. But that's not the case where everybody lives, and I totally get that. And so, it's funny because it's like if I lived somewhere where we didn't have those resources, but I really, really felt like I wanted to homeschool, I would just make an effort to get my kids involved. There's gonna be some program, something someone offers, like a sports thing. Do play dates find another homeschool family. If not, make sure your child, go to parks and things like that where your child can find a friend, and you can find a mom friend, and like you make sure that those kids get to see each other every week. You can put the effort in. You can also, I know in a lot of smaller towns, if you homeschool your kid, but if you go to your school district and you tell them my kid's homeschooled, but I'd really like to socialize them more, I found out recently that a lot of school districts have policies in place where if you go to the school and talk to them about it, they will let your kid come for gym or like do a part-time thing. Like you might not even know that exists, but that exists in a lot of places, especially smaller, like more like close-knit communities will do that for the homeschool kids. The bottom line is, like, I used to always worry about that with kids. I was like, the socializing aspect of homeschool used to really concern me. Our lights just flashed, that was weird. But as I found out more and more information about it, it doesn't anymore, especially where I live. And like I said, I get it. I totally get that, like, it's an exception where I live that we have all of these things that we can do. But again, in my research and actually talking to people, that's when I found out that there are ways. You're just gonna have to find those ways. If homeschooling is important to you, but you also want to make sure your kids socialize, look for things. Maybe there's a junior college nearby that offers programs for young kids. Maybe, like I said, the school district, go and talk to your school district, because you would be surprised. I always thought that's amazing that school districts do that. And then just find your kid friends. Go out, go to places where other kids are hanging out, make friends, you know, like the good old fashioned way. But then those friends can become good friends, you know, where your kid is doing things with them. And then get them involved in sports, like, you know, the soccer on Saturday morning, like get them involved in things like that. You know, even like bowling alleys will have like children's leagues and things like that, you know, get them, you as the parent, get them involved in other activities, and that's going to help socialize them. But really, since we haven't lived it that way yet, I think it would be really helpful if some of you that homeschool out there, if you are in an area where you don't have the resources like we have here in Houston, how do you socialize your kids? Because I think that's a really, I think that's something a lot of people think about when they're coming to the decision if they're gonna homeschool or not, and I think it would be very helpful. So if you guys don't mind, in the comments below, have a conversation about this. Share your story, share how you socialize your children, especially for those of you who live in an area that do not have all the resources that someone else might have. That would be so helpful. So have that, look below, you guys. Let's have a conversation about that. Like, give us some ideas, like help people out, and you guys can ask questions to each other, and I think that'd be really helpful, especially if some of these people that are, you know, been homeschooling their kids and you have a lot more experience with the whole issue of, you know, socializing them. Be wonderful for you to share. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope we have a really good conversation below about this, and I will talk to everybody later. Bye.